The KACO LUXO is a very compact fountain pen that's mainly made out of anodized aluminum. It's currently offered in black as well as the red finish that we have here today, and it features rose gold accents. The bottom finial is made out of that rose gold accent, and it's a cylindrical shape with a flat bottom. The top finial is also rose gold, and it features a hexagonal shape that follows through the entire pen body. The clip is a bent metal clip that comes out of the middle of the top finial and bends around to the side with a little dip followed by a flare-up, which is very easy to grasp and is extremely functional. The cap then has that hexagonal body and is free of markings except for on the back, where we have the KACO logo as well as a sticker that says that it has an extra fine nib. The cap pulls off to reveal a rose gold colored stainless steel nib. It's branded KACO with an EF for extra fine, and on the back we have a typical black plastic feed. The section has a tapering shape that starts with a little bit of a flare up, and then there's a small step up that gets back to the hexagonal shape that carries through to the end finial. In the hand, the pen has decent heft, and it's very short, but it is suitable for short notes if you have smaller hands. And the cap posts deeply and securely to make a nicely sized fountain pen that's well balanced and comfortable for long writing sessions. In terms of size comparisons, here's the KACO LUXO, a typical Pilot G2 rollerball pen, and your standard Sharpie. Before we get into the disassembly of the KACO LUXO, I wanted to take a moment here to compare it with two other compact pocket-sized fountain pens. Up top, we have the Traveler's Company fountain pen, which is a very compact pen that's mostly made out of brass. And down below, we have the Pilot E95S, and this one is primarily made out of resin. We can see in the cap form, the E95S is a little bit longer than the LUXO, and the Traveler's Company fountain pen is significantly shorter than either of the other pens. The Traveler's Company and the LUXO both feature bent metal clips, whereas the E95S has a spring-loaded clip. Let's take a look at these pens uncapped. Uncapped, we can see the LUXO is just a little bit shorter than the E95S, and the Traveler's Company fountain pen is by far the shortest of the other two. The E95S is the only one of the three that has a 14 karat gold nib, and it's also an inlaid nib, whereas the other two are stainless steel nibs that are fully exposed. All three pens have sections that taper back. The LUXO is the shortest section of the bunch. And let's take a look at these pens posted. All three caps post extremely securely, and in the posted form, all three pens are very comparable in length. To disassemble the KACO LUXO, all you need is some gripping material. The cap pulls right off, and if we take a look inside, we can see the inner cap is all made out of the same material, so it all acts as a cap liner, which means that this is a very easy cap to clean. All you need is to run it under warm water, or maybe soak it in a little bit of mild detergent. The barrel unscrews from the section, and that's it for the barrel. And while there is a plastic nib collar, I can't get it to rotate, so I would just take the gripping material and pull the nib and feed right out. And then the nib and feed come right apart. And at this point, the pen is fully disassembled. To reassemble, let's start with the nib and feed. If we take a look at the back of the feed, there is a ridge which acts as a stopper so that we know when the nib is fully seated, which is great because the nib collar only fits in a certain orientation. If I rotate the feed, we'll see at one position the feed will go a little bit deeper in, right there. We'll then take our nib and slide it on top all the way until it hits the back. We'll then take our barrel, screw it back on, followed by our cap. And now we're ready to ink up. Inking up the KACO LUXO, today I selected Diamine's Passion Red, which I feel like matches this pen body pretty closely. I've eyedropper filled a cartridge, and it takes an international short cartridge. Cap comes off, section comes off the barrel. Grab our cartridge, stick it into the back, reattach our barrel, and our cap. We'll let this sit for a few moments and then we'll be ready to write. Okay, writing with the KACO LUXO. Cap pulls off and I am going to post it. And today we're writing with a stainless steel extra fine, which is the only offering at this time. And it's a well-tuned nib. It's quite stiff, doesn't provide much bounce, but it's a consistent writer. It's pretty smooth with a little bit of feedback. And yeah, a well-tuned nib. Our ink is Diamine Passion Red. For flex, I'll turn the page. As I mentioned, it's a pretty stiff nib. I'm not getting really any line variation. I would say this is pretty much a stiff as nails type nib, but it does write quite reliably and nicely. And for reverse writing, it's actually quite smooth. I would say it feels pretty similar to the front ways up, and it kind of gives you a needlepoint thin line. So I would say this is definitely a candidate for reverse writing. So what do I think of the KACO LUXO? I really like the design of this pen. I think that it's a unique shape, the hexagonal pattern. It reminds me somewhat of the Y Studio Classic fountain pen. The main difference being this is a pocket pen instead of a full-length pen, and also it's made out of anodized aluminum instead of brass. I also really like the fact that they included a clip on this pen. It doesn't necessarily need one. It has that hexagonal pattern which functions as a roll stop. So the clip just adds extra functionality with being able to take this out and about. And I like that they didn't make it just a typical clip design, but made it a unique shape that comes out of the center of the finial. It has a very nice quality to it. It's also a very functional clip that's easy to pull from this back flange. As I showed, it's a reliable writer. It is only offered as an extra fine at this time, and I think especially in the Western market, a fine or a medium would be a welcomed addition to the lineup. And in terms of writing, I do find that it is a comfortable pen in the hand. The grip section is a little bit small, and it's surprisingly not slick, even though it may look that way on the camera. But because it's such a short grip section, I find I kind of bear down towards the front of the nib when I have it unposted. But when I have it posted, I tend to shift my hand a little bit back, and due to the length of the grip section, I end up holding back on the body. And just by fiddling around with this pen, I actually find, if I'm holding the pen by the body, that it is quite comfortable. So I almost wish, instead, what they would have done is extend the length of the body so that the grip section was pretty short, maybe somewhat similar to the length of this back posting knob, and then just making the body itself the grip section. It's a very comfortable pen to hold in that case. The only other thing that I really would change with this pen is the filling system. It uses the International short cartridge, which is great. These are readily available and they're offered in a wide variety of colors. But if we take a look at how it fits inside this pen, There's a lot of extra space that isn't being used in this pen, and I would have liked to see KACO create a unique converter that fit the entire length of this pen so you could easily fill this pen from a bottle. But besides all those points, it is a very reliable writer, and it's a unique design that I quite like, especially with this rose gold finish, and a comfortable pen, at least for me, especially when it's unposted. So one that I think is worthy of consideration, especially if you like metal pens and pens that are maybe a little bit unique in their shape. And that just leaves me to say, thank you for watching.